The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
We have our guest today, Orly Tates, and I think she's on the phone with us now. Are you there, Orly?
Yes, I am.
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Easter. How you doing today? We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Yeah, we kind of got screwed up before, and then you were on here last week. I felt bad that, I was really glad that you wanted to come on this morning because it is Easter and everything, so we do really appreciate it.
Thanks.
So, with that, let's talk about, I hate to say it, Cotton Eye Joe, but
be nice
kind of feels that way sometimes because, we got a president here that is just not eligible, in my opinion, and he's never been vetted, and the media won't touch it. But the latest news that I have, maybe you can expand on it, I'm sure you're up to speed on, is the Alabama judge said that the birth certificate's false, even though they didn't weigh in on the decision, and they said that that he should have been vetted or be vetted by the Secretary of State to be eligible to put on the ballot. Do you know anything about this one, Orly?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This case was brought 2 years ago in 2012 before the election, and it was brought by a minor candidate on the ballot in Alabama and a Republican voter. And the case was dismissed by the presiding judge, who stated that the Secretary of State, basically he denied the request to see the certified copy of Obama's birth certificate that the plaintiffs were seeking, based on the opposition by the Secretary of State, who stated that she has no duty to check the documents of the candidates. And the case went to the Supreme Court of Alabama. Previously, there was another case in Alabama where one judge, Judge Thomas Parker, stated that if the case were to be brought properly by proper plaintiffs and through proper channels, he would want to hear the case because there is serious evidence of Obama's IDs being forged. So that was the second case. And they have 9 judges, and unfortunately 7 judges voted in favor of the defense. Only 2 judges, Judge Thomas Parker, who previously raised his concerns, and Judge Moore, who, as you know, is known as a judge who placed the monument with 10 commandments in front of the Supreme Court of Alabama, and he was removed from his position by the federal judges, and later on he was elected yet again. So Judge Moore has written an opinion stating that he believes that Secretaries of State should check eligibility of a candidate, and that should have been done in this case. Judge Thomas Parker also wrote a short opinion stating that he does not believe that in every case the Secretary of State has a duty to check, but in this case, since there was evidence that Obama's IDs are not valid, she should have checked the IDs. But again, due to the fact that the majority, 7 out of 9, voted to confirm the lower court decision for the case not to be heard and to be dismissed, it was dismissed in the Supreme Court of Alabama. That's the final result there. And I have wrote an article about it stating that Judge Moore could write this lengthy opinion when he knew that majority of judges will vote against it and there will be no repercussions. And I have written to Judge Moore a request to forward this information. Judges have actually vast powers to forward evidence that they have evidence of serious crimes to the district attorney, to the grand jury, county grand jury, and even federal grand jury. And I have written to Judge Moore that it is, of course, it is easy to write a dissenting opinion when you know that there will be no consequences, but what needs to be done is something of consequence. please, you have in front of you the evidence that was brought by the plaintiffs. Here is another 150 pages of evidence showing that Obama is using a stolen Social Security number, fabricated IDs. Please forward it to the county prosecutors, county district attorney, to the grand jury. And I received a letter from the clerk of the court. There was no name of a specific clerk. It was just printed clerk of the court, which kind of misrepresented my request. It stated that I wanted this to be sent to the federal court, and I didn't. I didn't want him to forward this to the federal court, specifically because there is so much corruption in federal courts, and they are working for the federal government. But, and also they stated, the clerk of the court stated that the court has very limited powers and cannot do what I asked. And that's not true. They do not have such limited powers. This is the Supreme Court of the state. They have evidence of criminal activity. Not only they have powers, they have a duty to follow this for criminal investigation and prosecution, and they did not do it.
Well, what do you think the reason is that? Is this because he's the first black president? Is this because it would cause such a constitutional crisis that nobody wants to touch it? Is it because the media is, in complicit here? I mean, what do you think is the big reason that nobody wants to touch this? Because I don't even think that, let's say that this is all true. Okay, he's not born here, he's born in Kenya, whatever it is. Even if that were not true, okay, he still doesn't meet the founding fathers' definition of a natural-born citizen. His father was a Kenyan national, and he was schooled in Indonesia.
Let me tell you, in terms of constitutional requirements, there is no specific law that states what was it meant by the U.S. Constitution, where it stated that the president has to be a natural-born citizen. What does it mean to be a natural-born citizen? And truth be told, that many, of course, liberals and people who are in Obama's camp are stating that natural-born citizen is somebody who was born in the country, regardless of what is the citizenship of his parents. If he's born in U.S., he automatically, at the time of his birth, gets the U.S. citizenship.
Well, you get U.S. citizenship. But if you go back to what the founders based the definition on in Vattel,
it is my position too. I also believe that a natural-born citizen is one who not only is born in the country, but whose parents are citizens.
Right.
And there are multiple articles stating that. However, this is not a settled issue. There was never a decision of the Supreme Court of the United States with definition. What does it mean to be a natural-born U.S. citizen? Does it mean only to be born in the country? Does it, for example, some judges believe that if your parents are U.S. citizens and you're born abroad, you are still U.S. citizen, natural-born U.S. citizen. Others believe that if you're born in the country, regardless of who your parents are. So this issue has to be heard on the merits. There has to be a decision. There was no such decision. And that is why when I saw that in multiple courts, the judges kind of what they were doing, they would disregard all the issues of Obama's use of fabricated IDs and his use of a stolen Social Security number, and they were concentrating only on this issue, and they would state, well, we believe that as long as he was born in U.S., he is a natural-born citizen, and here is Obama's Hawaiian birth certificate, and the issue is closed. Well, the issue is not closed. There was no determination by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court never took up this issue of what it means to be a natural-born citizen. But also what is even more troubling is that this man, we don't know who he is, and he is using all fabricated IDs, and not one single judge has addressed those issues. Not one single judge dared to order discovery and production of the original documents. And I believe the reason is because today NSA and FBI have any and all records of any judge who takes upon this issue, and I believe there is a lot of pressure on those judges, either blackmail with some history in their tax returns, their sexual history, or tax returns of their children, and the federal government has ways and means to lean on judges, threaten them, intimidate them, blackmail them, that if they rule against the government is going to go after them. And in some cases, I believe they might be paying off judges or all of the above, intimidating, blackmailing, and paying off.
Well, if we go back,
That's what
I was going to say, if we go back, we know that the intent of the founding fathers, it's irrefutable that they wanted both parents to be citizens so that the president would have no foreign allegiances, and he was the only one that had to meet that standard of natural-born citizens. So we know for a fact that they're circumventing the intent of the founders when they wrote it. Is that not true?
Yeah, well, it is true. And if you read when the Constitution was drafted, the first Chief Judge of the Supreme Court, Judge John Jay, wrote to George Washington saying, permit me to explain that it's important not to have foreigners in the U.S. government, that the commander-in-chief of the U.S. military has to be a natural-born U.S. citizen. There were multiple statements. For example, John Bingham, who have drafted the 14th Amendment, has written about it. But what the other side is using, they're using one case, and that was a case during the times of President Chester Arthur, who, as we know, is the only other president who had questionable eligibility for U.S. presidency. It's a question whether he was born in U.S. because the family used to live in Canada, and also his father was still an Irish citizen when he was born. And it's quite possible that Chester Arthur was not a legitimate U.S. president. But there was a case, and that the case is Kim Wong Ark, and in that case, the opinion of the court stated basically that as long as you were born in the U.S., regardless of what the citizenship of your parents, you are a U.S. citizen. And one of the judges added that you're a U.S. citizen, you can even be a U.S. president, and that's what they're hanging their hat on this one opinion. And that case, of course, it dealt with a young man who was a son of Chinese workers
Orly?
who worked. Yeah.
Hold on there. Unfortunately, we have to go to a break and thank our sponsors, and we'll pick that up on the other side. So just hold on, and we'll be right back. This is Casey and
Sure.
We're back here with Orly Tates, and we're talking about all things Obama, all Obama fraud. We all know that this guy has lied about everything. In fact, I saw a program the other day that there's like 250 something documented lies by this guy, and why anybody wouldn't think that this guy would not lie about his birth certificate or his citizenship is beyond the pale as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I don't believe anything this guy says anymore. I'd just like to see some stuff to prove it, the records from his schools and so forth. Anyway.
Yeah, I know. I Googled what truth Googled in. What truth has Obama told?
It's like
I didn't get anything.
I got a goose. I got a goose egg.
I got nothing. So,
Anyway,
there you go.
Go ahead, Orly. We're talking about Chester Arthur, I think, or the Kim Wong Ark decision.
Yes. So the case that the Obama camp relies on, it's called Kim Wong Ark, and it's a case relating to a young man whose family came from China. They were Chinese workers. He was born in the United States of America. Then the family went back to China, and when he was trying to return to the U.S., he was not allowed entrance, stating he has no visa, he is not a citizen. And the court decided that because he was born in the United States of America, he is a citizen. And as I said, one of the judges sort of added in his opinion, well, he's a citizen, he can be a president one day. So based on that, Obama's camp is saying, well, see, this decision of the Supreme Court that was in the 19th century, it's an old decision, and they're saying, well, that proves that as long as you're born in the U.S., you are a natural-born citizen and you can be the president. However, that case dealt only with citizenship. This young man, Kim Wong Ark, did not run for the U.S. president. So something that a judge states by the way, in his opinion, where he's writing on something else and he just adds something, that's not a settled issue. It's just a dicta. It's not, it's not a ruling. And it's something that he mentioned. And we do need a ruling from the Supreme Court confirming what we believe to be the case.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.